Hi everyone, so a bit of a sad or a happy story, depending on which way you want to look at it. I went to my local pet store today to go and pick up some fish essentials like water treatments and food for my other aquarium. And in doing so, I came across an aquarium. They were selling these female fighting fish. I don't really need to tell you what already exists in the animal welfare world in terms of betta fish, but looking at these guys, I had to buy them because a couple of them have got quite possibly the worst case of bloat or constipation, whatever you want to call it, I personally have seen. This one here has got quite a bad bout of fin rot. You can't really see because of her colours, but she's got nearly on all of her fins, she's got a black ridge, which is bacterial infection. As I say, most of them have got some kind of fin rot. This one actually has the beginnings of white spot, or ick, as it were, and she was in the aquarium with all of these other bettas, and it didn't make sense to just quarantine one of them. Basically, just looking at them, where they were kept practically on the floor, no light. The water was absolutely freezing, so they were very inactive. It took a while to acclimate them just because the water was so cold I didn't want to shock them, so it took me probably about an hour and a half to 2 hours to acclimate them because I didn't want to shock them in any way. There's a lot of darting behaviour, and particularly with this pearl. As you can see up there, she spends a lot of her time at the surface. There's a lot of irritation there, and I also think she may have some kind of internal parasite. So what I've done, I basically quarantined all of them in a 30-litre aquarium and given them a series of broad spectrum medicines, all of which are compatible with each other. I've owned bettas for probably about 6-7 years now, possibly longer actually. And I've discovered that the best products to use, which are incredibly betta friendly, are, I think it's called eSHa or eSHa. But yeah, you can get these products. I buy mine online because they're not really that common to find in your local pet shops. But I find that whenever I use them, they're very compatible with betta fish. Their stress stripes are going, and they're incredibly active now in comparison to what they were because they were so cold earlier. I've turned up the temperature on the thermostat. It's 30 degrees. I'm only doing that for 24 hours, just to sort of help with speeding up the process of killing off any ick that they may have, and basically making the temperature uninhabitable for any parasites or bacterial pathogens that they may have. And with this, all of these three products are compatible together, so it basically just clears up anything that they may have, bacterial, fungal, or sort of any arthropods or parasites or nematodes or anything like that. And it seems pretty abrupt to use all three of these at the same time, but having used them for so long, I've discovered that they are very compatible with betta fish, and betta fish being what they are, probably quite possibly one of the most hardiest fish that I've ever owned. And this product is certainly very betta friendly. But yeah, basically what I wanted to discuss was just I was so absolutely appalled with my local pet shop. They were just kept in the dark. There was no light. They were on the floor, cold water. I mean, the filter system that they had wasn't even really working. I know they say that bettas like to have minimal current in the water, but it wasn't even bubbling. It wasn't really doing anything. I will be turning this down after a while. It's just to make sure that the medicine circulates well. I'll probably give it another hour with this setting and then I'll turn it right down so they've got a little current. But yeah, I mean, it's a common misconception that bettas, they live in small spaces and they require very little effort, if at all. They don't need a filter, they don't need a heater. It's all rubbish. They, just like any other fish, they are, yes, they are what's called anabantoids, which means they do possess sort of a lung, sort of a gill set that sort of has a lung-like function, but it doesn't mean that they don't require the same basic husbandry needs as any other fish. They are fish. They are aquarium specimens. I mean, it's just not right to keep them in such harsh conditions. I'm planning on keeping them in this 30 litre until I'd say for at least 3 weeks, so that gives them a week on the medicine and 1 week's observation and a week's post observation. So as soon as they've passed the 10 days clear of being of any illness, that's when I'll pop them into my 50 litre aquarium. I mean, it's this little lady here that I'm most worried about. She darts around and gasps for air. She's quite possibly the most bloated out of all of them. But I also, as I say, I think she may have some kind of internal parasites and possibly external as well, which is what's making her so erratic in her swimming. I mean, I know they say, oh, you shouldn't buy them because then you're supporting the industry of, of poor welfare. You're basically encouraging them to stock or to neglect or whatever. You know, there's no encouragement there to any aquarium establishments in terms of ensuring better welfare. But I felt personally it would just haunt me. I get restless nights knowing that I'd just left them there in the dark, in the cold, disease riddled. Like, it's not right. So yeah, I decided to do a bit of a rescue mission. I mean, there were a couple of others, but they looked like they were past the point of saving. They were floating on the top, on their sides. To be honest, they didn't look like they were going to make it past the hour. So I just said to the clerk, can I please buy these fish? But because they are not in full health, could I please have them at a discount? And the sales advisor very kindly said, okay, because originally they were for sale for £5 each. £5 each for diseased, riddled, very unhealthy looking betta fish. So I said, no, I'm not paying £5 each for these poor little things. And because, thinking of it on the sales perspective, you wouldn't want to pay full price for something that's not the best that it could be. So I managed to bargain him down to £1.50 per fish, which is good. But it may take a while for them all to get back to their regular selves. But I was just so shocked and appalled at the husbandry methods of this pet shop. I mean, I'm not going to say who it is. I mean, for either legal reasons or whatever you want to call it, but I was not impressed. I did manage to leave a complaint with the manager. All of the male betas that were sat there, they were all looking lethargic. They weren't in cups as such, they were in filtered boxes, but still these boxes were tiny. They were absolutely minuscule. And yeah. So anyway, that's a bit of a rescue mission that I've just done. And quite frankly, I feel pretty good about it. Because I do enjoy making animals feel better. I mean, it's part of my occupation anyway. But to have them as a sort of a side project, to watch them develop, and I mean, these guys are probably only about 6 months old or so. They're still babies, which means that they should have pretty good immune systems, which hopefully they'll bounce back pretty well. But we'll see how it goes. And as I say, I'm using all of these products here, and I highly, highly recommend them because they're great for stress relief. There's also a health tonic for afterwards. So after you've completed the course of all these 3 products, you can then do a 30% water change and then add its eSHa health tonic, and that's really great for either inducing spawning or just general increasing their healing prospects. But it increases their rate of recovery for certain, and it's also great for reducing stress. I mean, every time that I've used it, there's been a noticeable change in their coloration. Their coloration is so much more vibrant. Their stress stripes are minimalistic, if any. And yeah, so it's definitely a good one for beta fish. Yeah, but we'll see how the treatment goes. I haven't added any salt. Because I tend to do that after treatment as a sort of a precautionary thing. So when I add the health tonic, I'll probably add about 2 tablespoons of salt in here, and then just leave that in there for about 4 days. Diluted, obviously, not crystals, because if you leave the salt crystals in there, it can actually burn them and corrode their their mucus layer, which can increase further risk of disease and decrease their immune system. So it's so important to dilute any compounds or components that you're going to put in your aquarium. But yeah, fingers crossed they'll be okay. I mean, they're all absolutely gorgeous little betas. And hopefully, with a lot of love and care, they'll be back to their regular selves. But I'm not going to feed them for a few days, just until this bloating goes down. I'll probably fast them for about 2 days, and then give them a piece of boiled pea, and then fast them for another day, and then give them some high fibre diet. So that should be okay. They are characters, they really are. But we'll see how it goes. Yeah, sweet things. there is a lot of stopping and starting and sitting on the bottom and then going back up. So I'm thinking of maybe what I tend to do if they are quite tired or if they are sort of weakened in some way. What I'll tend to do, I'll tend to put an old fruit pot up here with one of the sides cut out so that they can swim and have a rest and then just swim around here. So the water is a lot shallower and it's easier for them to take a breath. So I think I might do that before too long. Yeah. But it's such a common misconception that bettas don't require a lot of space, they don't require a lot of attentive care. They live in puddles out in the wild. They don't live in puddles out in the wild, they live in rice fields which can be acres long. And yes, like it is quite confined in terms of like the plants and like the rice plants and the weeds. But in turn, it just means that they need a bigger space, but they just need lots of hiding places. That's all it means. You don't stick them in something no bigger than, I mean, it really sort of breaks my heart to see these lovely little fish just sat in pots and these tiny little tetra aquarium boxes that you get at the fish shops. And they're not supposed to be in an environment like that. They're supposed to be in harems. Females are great together. Males, yes, okay, males do need to be kept separate due to fighting reasons, territory reasons. But I mean, it's just common sense, really. Right. Well, we'll see how their treatment goes, and then hopefully after a week or two, we'll do a follow-up video. So yeah, thanks for watching my video. Like and subscribe if you like it. And I'll chat to you guys soon with an update on these guys. Bye.